In the heart of Sunnyvale Estates, Texas, Tom Harrison's flagpole stood tall, its American flag waving proudly to honor his fallen Vietnam War hero father, until a woman with a fake badge and a sinister agenda tried to tear it down. By sundown, her threats of $600 fines and forced removal had ignited a rebellion that would shake the neighborhood to its core. Tom Harrison, 62, was a retired mechanic whose hands bore the scars of 4 decades fixing engines under the Texas sun. After losing his wife, Linda, to cancer, he'd moved to Sunnyvale Estates, a tidy Austin suburb, seeking solace. His father, Sergeant James Harrison, had died in Vietnam, and Tom built a 20-foot flagpole in his front yard, a gleaming steel monument anchored in concrete with a solar-powered light to keep the stars and stripes lit at night. It was his tribute to a hero, a symbol of freedom in a neighborhood of cookie-cutter beige fences and manicured lawns. But at 12:22 p.m. on a blistering February Tuesday, Evelyn Brooks stormed up his driveway, her navy blazer and shiny badge radiating authority she didn't possess. "Mr. Harrison," Evelyn said, her voice dripping with fake charm, "your flagpole violates Rule 8.7 of the Sunnyvale Community Covenant. No unapproved structures over 6 feet." She thrust the violation notice at him, demanding a $600 fine and the pole's demolition by Thursday. Her badge, emblazoned with Sunnyvale Community Standards Director, gleamed like a cheap prop, and her leather-bound packet labeled Sunnyvale Community Covenant with a fake silver seal smelled of fresh ink. Tom, wiping sweat from his brow, squinted at her. "City Hall says there's no HOA here," he said, his voice low but firm. "Who are you exactly?" Evelyn's smile twitched, her eyes narrowing. "All records are filed at the county level, sir. My job is enforcement. Pay the fine or we'll enact emergency measures." She pointed to a ring of 12 identical keys on her belt, fresh cut and suspiciously uniform, like they'd been churned out at a hardware store. Tom's mechanic instincts flared. He'd spent years spotting flaws in blueprints, and Evelyn's packet was a fraudster's fever dream. Sunnyvale misspelled as Sunnyvale on page 5, legal citations referencing non-existent Texas statutes, and a clause demanding $300 monthly compliance fees plus master key access for mandatory inspections. "Show me the HOA's incorporation papers," Tom demanded, crossing his arms. Evelyn's smile hardened. "That's above my pay grade, Mr. Harrison. You have 48 hours. Her heels clicked as she marched off, leaving the notice taped to his mailbox like a declaration of war. Tom texted his daughter, Sarah, a 35-year-old paralegal in Dallas. "Some lady's running a scam, threatening my flagpole with fake HOA rules," he wrote, snapping a photo of the notice. Sarah replied, "That's fraud, Dad. Record everything. I'll dig into county records." That evening, Tom mounted 2 wireless security cameras, one at his front door, one aimed at the flagpole, motion activated and cloud synced. As the solar light bathed the flag in a golden glow, Tom muttered, "No one's touching you, Dad." The next morning, Tom met Clara Thompson, a 68-year-old retired school teacher watering her petunias next door. "Evelyn's been shaking us down for a year," Clara whispered, her eyes darting. "She fined me $400 for non-compliant purple flowers." Clara's garage was a treasure trove of Evelyn's notices. $250 for a misaligned mailbox, $500 for a hazardous garden gnome, and threats of property access for inspections. "She forced the Garcias to move last summer," Clara said, showing Tom blurry photos of Evelyn measuring fences at dawn. "She claims master keys to our homes." Tom's fists clenched. "She's a grifter." Tom gathered the flagpole fighters in his garage, the flagpole's shadows slicing across the floor. Mike Delgarmu, a 45-year-old electrician, had paid $1,500 in fees to dodge Evelyn's harassment. "She said my boat's trailer violated community symmetry," he growled. Lisa Chen, a 30-year-old graphic designer, was hit with a $400 fine for her overly bold porch mural. Ryan Patel, a 22-year-old college student, faced a $600 fine for his drone, labeled a public menace. "This isn't about my flagpole," Tom said, slamming Evelyn's packet on a workbench. "She's running a con." Clara's eyes gleamed. "What if we all raise flagpoles? She can't find everyone." Tom nodded. "Let's call it the Sunnyvale Freedom Fest." Mike volunteered to wire solar lights for new poles, Lisa sketched vibrant freedom flag signs, and Ryan planned a #FlagpoleFiasco TikTok campaign. Clara promised to bake red, white, and blue cupcakes, muttering, "Let's wave our flags," in her smug face. By Wednesday, 6 flagpoles rose across Sunnyvale, each with a solar light and neon sign. Ryan's TikTok, showing Tom saluting his flag, with Clara waving a mini flag, hit 200,000 views, with comments like, "Fake HOA Takedown," and "Protect Tom's flag." Neighbors, like the Shy Lopez family, raised a pole, their sign reading, "Honor our heroes." Evelyn, in her condo, was unraveling. Her office, a shrine of forged certificates and a whiteboard listing non-compliant houses, marked Tom's flagpole as critical threat. She summoned her board, Carl, a shady contractor, Diane, a failed realtor, and Greg, a wannabe lawyer with a cheap suit. "Harrison's rallying a mob," she snapped, pacing. Carl suggested hiring a compliance crew to rip down the poles. Diane proposed $1,200 fines for community endangerment, and Greg drafted cease and desist letters citing fake ordinances. "We'll bury this rebellion," she said, her voice venomous. Thursday morning, Evelyn's crew rolled up, a pickup with 3 men in vests, armed with crowbars. The flagpole fighters formed a human wall, chanting, "Flags up, scams down." Clara brandished a flag, Mike gripped a toolbox, and Lisa waved a Freedom Fest banner. Ryan live-streamed, his TikTok surging to 400,000 views. Carl, sweating, mumbled, "I'm not fighting a neighborhood," and sped off. Evelyn, watching from her SUV, issued $350 fines to every flagpole house, her fingers trembling as she typed. Friday's HOA meeting was a battlefield. Evelyn stood at the community center podium, her PowerPoint, "The Flagpole Plague," showing doctored images of collapsing poles. "These structures threaten our property values," she bellowed, her badge glinting. Tom burst in, waving her violation notice. "There's no HOA, folks. County records prove it. She's a liar." Clara added, "She fined my petunias for being too vibrant. She's a crook." The room split, half roaring for Tom, half clinging to Evelyn's lies. Ryan's livestream hit 600,000 views, with comments like, "Expose the scam." That night, someone spray-painted "Flags Forever" on the center's fence, pushing Evelyn to the brink. As the sun sank over Sunnyvale Estates, 6 flagpoles stood defiant, their American flags glowing under solar lights, a silent challenge to Evelyn Brooks's reign of terror. By morning, her compliance crew rolled in with crowbars, ready to crush Tom Harrison's rebellion, only to face a neighborhood ready to fight back. Tom Harrison woke at dawn, his coffee steaming as he stood by his flagpole, its stars and stripes snapping in the Texas breeze. The 62-year-old retired mechanic had ignited a spark in Sunnyvale Estates, a quiet Austin suburb, with his 20-foot tribute to his late father, a Vietnam War hero. But Evelyn Brooks, the self-styled Sunnyvale Community Standards Director, had declared war, slapping Tom with a $600 fine and a 48-hour deadline to tear it down. Now 6 flagpoles dotted the cul-de-sac, each raised by the flagpole fighters: Tom, Clara Thompson, Mike Delgado, Lisa Chen, and Ryan Patel, defying Evelyn's fake HOA with neon freedom flag signs. Ryan's #flagpole fiasco TikTok was climbing towards 600,000 views, with comments like "Bury the fake HOA" and "Tom's a legend." At 7:15 a.m., Tom spotted a black pickup truck creeping into the neighborhood, its bed loaded with tools. Carl, Evelyn's shady contractor, stepped out with 2 men in vests, crowbars glinting. "Compliance crew," Carl barked, pointing at Tom's flagpole. "This comes down today." Tom's heart raced, but he wasn't alone. Clara, the 68-year-old retired schoolteacher, appeared with a megaphone, her voice sharp. "Back off our flags!" Mike, the 45-year-old electrician, stood beside her, gripping a wrench. Lisa, the 30-year-old graphic designer, waved a Freedom Fest banner. And Ryan, the 22-year-old college student, live-streamed the standoff, his TikTok surging to 700,000 views. Neighbors poured out, old Mr. Lopez with a flag, then Wen kids waving sparklers, chanting, "No flags, no freedom." Carl hesitated, his crew uneasy. "This is crazy," he muttered, climbing back into the truck. They sped off, leaving a cloud of dust. Evelyn, watching from her SUV, was livid. Her condo office, a fortress of fake certificates and a whiteboard tracking violations, now listed 7 flagpoles as urgent threats. She called her board, Carl, Diane, a former realtor, and Greg, a wannabe lawyer, to her dining room. "Harrison's turning this into a circus," she hissed, her badge glinting menacingly. Carl suggested doubling down with a demolition order. Diane proposed $1,200 for community endangerment, and Greg drafted a cease and desist letter citing fake Texas codes. "We'll break them," Evelyn said, her voice cold. She ordered motion-activated cameras installed around Sunnyvale to catch vandalism, turning the neighborhood into her surveillance state. Tom and the Flagpole fighters regrouped in Clara's living room, her coffee table covered with Evelyn's notices. Clara, flipping through her files, found a loophole in Evelyn's own packet. "Rule 12.3 allows for community tributes for charitable causes," she said, her eyes gleaming. "Veterans are a cause. Let's make the flagpoles part of a Sunnyvale Freedom Fest to honor them." Tom nodded, his jaw set. "We'll raise more poles and make it a festival." Mike volunteered to wire lights for 10 new poles. Lisa designed a star-spangled logo, and Ryan planned to push #flagpolefiasco to 1 million views. Clara, ever the strategist, suggested nominating herself for HOA treasurer. "If there is no HOA, we'll create a real one and kick her out." By Friday, Sunnyvale had 10 flagpoles, each glowing with solar lights and Freedom Fest signs. The Nguyen family added a pole with a banner reading "For Our Troops," and old Mrs. Carter, a 75-year-old widow, raised one for her Navy son. Ryan's TikTok hit 900,000 views, with comments like "Evelyn's done" and "Flagville USA." Evelyn struck back, issuing $1,200 fines to every flagpole house. Her notice is now threatening emergency property seizures. She installed 4 cameras on streetlights, their red lights blinking like eyes. Greg delivered cease and desist letters to the fighters, citing Texas Municipal Code 47.2, which didn't exist. Tom, holding one, laughed bitterly. "She's desperate." Clara's research deepened the fight. Digging through public records with Sarah's help, she uncovered Evelyn's financial trail. $18,000 in compliance fees collected from 15 households over 10 months, funneled to a shady LLC called Sunnyvale Standards, Inc. "She's stealing thousands," Clara said, showing Tom bank statements she'd sweet-talked from a county clerk. "This isn't just fines, it's a racket." Tom texted Sarah, "Found $18K in fraud. Can you get legal backup?" Sarah replied, "On it. This is criminal. Keep recording." Evelyn's cameras caught Ryan spray painting "Freedom over fines" on the community center's mailbox at midnight. She sent the footage to her lawyer, who filed a vandalism complaint with the county sheriff, naming Ryan and Tom as instigators. But Ryan, tech-savvy, hacked the camera feeds, looping old footage to hide the fighter's next move. "She thinks she's watching us," he grinned, showing Lisa the tampered feed. "She's watching last week's dog walkers." The fighters planned a Freedom Fest kickoff for Saturday, with flagpoles, veteran tributes, and Clara's cupcakes. Mike wired a sound system for patriotic music, and Lisa printed 100 Freedom Fest flyers, slipping them into mailboxes. Saturday's kickoff was electric. 15 flagpoles lined Sunnyvale, their flags waving as neighbors gathered. Clara emceed, her megaphone booming. "This is for our veterans, not Evelyn's wallet." Tom saluted his pole, tears in his eyes, as Mr. Lopez shared stories of his Marine brother. Ryan's live stream hit 1.2 million views, with comments like, "This is America." Local news vans arrived, filming the fest. Evelyn, parked across the street, called her crew. "Tear it down tonight," she whispered into her phone, unaware Ryan's drone was recording her. That night, someone, nobody knew who, painted "Flags Forever, Evelyn Never" on the community center's wall. Evelyn's cameras, still looping Ryan's fake feed, caught nothing. She stormed to Tom's house at 9 p.m., pounding on his door. "You're destroying this community," she screamed, her badge askew. Tom, calm behind his locked door, recorded her meltdown. "You're the one destroying us. No HOA exists. We're on to you." His cameras caught her trying a key from her ring on his gate, failing miserably. She stormed off, vowing emergency protocols by Monday. Sunday morning, Clara rallied the fighters at her house. "She's losing control," she said, showing Tom her cease and desist letter, naming all 5 fighters. "She's scared." Mike reported Evelyn's cameras now watched his house, but Ryan smirked. "I've got them looping cat videos." Lisa unveiled a new Freedom Fest logo, a flagpole piercing a broken clipboard, and the group laughed. Sarah texted Tom, "County confirms no HOA. Evelyn's LLC is a front. I'm bringing a lawyer friend tomorrow." Tom nodded, his resolve hardening. "We're not just saving my flagpole, we're saving Sunnyvale." As Sunnyvale Estates transformed into a sea of flagpoles, their stars and stripes defiant under glowing solar lights, Tom Harrison's rebellion against Evelyn Book's fake HOA roared to life. But when Evelyn unleashed a legal assault to crush the Sunnyvale Freedom Fest, the neighborhood's fight became a viral blaze no con artist could extinguish. Tom Harrison stood in his front yard at sunrise, his 62-year-old frame silhouetted against his 20-foot flagpole, its American flag snapping proudly in the Texas breeze. The retired mechanic had sparked a revolution in Sunnyvale Estates, an Austin suburb where 15 flagpoles now stood, each a middle finger to Evelyn Brooks, the self-proclaimed Sunnyvale Community Standards Director. Her fake HOA had extorted $18,000 from neighbors with fraudulent fines, but Tom's flagpole fighters, Clara Thompson, Mike Delgado, Lisa Chen, and Ryan Patel had turned her scam into a viral spectacle with their Sunnyvale Freedom Fest. Ryan's #flagpole fiasco TikTok was nearing 1.2 million views, with comments like "Evelyn's toast" and "Flagville forever." But Evelyn wasn't done. She was about to escalate her war to a dangerous new level. At 8:03 a.m., a process server knocked on Tom's door, delivering a court injunction filed by Evelyn's lawyer, Greg, demanding an immediate halt to the Freedom Fest for public disturbance and safety violations. The document, dripping with fake legal jargon, cited Texas Municipal Code 47.2, non-existent, and threatened $2,000 fines per household. Tom's blood boiled. "She's trying to scare us into submission," he told Clara, who was sipping tea on her porch, her eyes scanning the injunction. The 68-year-old retired school teacher smirked. "She's panicking. Let's make this fest bigger." Tom texted his daughter, Sarah, the Dallas paralegal. "Evelyn's suing to stop the fest. Can your lawyer friend help?" Sarah replied, "She's coming tomorrow. This injunction's garbage. Keep pushing." The flagpole fighters gathered in Mike's garage, the air thick with determination. Mike, the 45-year-old electrician, was wiring solar lights for 5 more flagpoles, his hands steady despite Evelyn's cameras blinking red on nearby streetlights. "She's watching us," he growled, "but she won't stop us." Lisa, the 30-year-old graphic designer, unveiled a new Freedom Fest poster, a flagpole shattering a clipboard, stars exploding in red, white, and blue. Ryan, the 22-year-old college student, grinned, his phone buzzing with notifications. "We're at 1.5 million views," he said. "Local news wants interviews." Clara, flipping through her stack of Evelyn's notices, revealed a bombshell. "I cross-checked her LLC's bank records with Sarah's help. She's funneled $22,000 to offshore accounts in 9 months. Tom's jaw dropped. "She's not just a grifter, she's a pro." Evelyn, in her condo, was spiraling. Her office whiteboard now listed 15 flagpoles as critical threats, with Tom circled in red, labeled ringleader. Her board, Carl the contractor, Diane the ex-realtor, and Greg, the fake lawyer, sat nervously as she barked orders. "The fest is a public relations disaster," she snapped, her badge glinting like a weapon. Carl suggested cutting the flagpole's cables at night. Diane proposed bribing a city inspector to condemn them, and Greg filed a second injunction, claiming the fest endangered property values. Evelyn installed 2 more surveillance cameras, their red lights glaring like sentinels. "We'll crush this by Monday," she vowed, unaware Ryan's drone was recording her every move. The Freedom Fest kickoff on Saturday was a patriotic explosion. 20 flagpoles lined Sunnyvale, their solar lights glowing as neighbors danced to Sweet Home Alabama from Mike's sound system. Clara emceed, her megaphone booming. "This is for our veterans, not Evelyn's lies." Tom shared stories of his father's Vietnam sacrifice, his voice cracking as old Mrs. Carter saluted her Navy son's flagpole. Lisa handed out Freedom Fest t-shirts, and Ryan's livestream hit 2 million views with comments like, "This is the American dream." A local news crew filmed Clara tossing cupcakes to kids while Mr. Lopez waved a flag shouting, "No more fake fines!" The fest drew 50 neighbors, their phones capturing every moment. Evelyn, parked in her SUV, called the sheriff, claiming unpermitted public assembly. But Ryan, ever the tech wizard, had looped her camera feeds with footage of quiet streets, hiding the fest's chaos. "She thinks we're napping," he laughed, showing Lisa the tampered feed. But Evelyn's next move was vicious. At 3 p.m., her compliance crew returned, this time with a tow truck and a forged municipal order to seize Tom's flagpole for structural instability. The fighters formed a human chain, Clara blasting her megaphone, "Back off our flags!" Mike stood guard with a crowbar, Lisa waved her banner, and Ryan's drone buzzed overhead, streaming to 2.5 million viewers. The tow truck driver, seeing the crowd, muttered, "I'm not dying for this," and left. Evelyn, watching from her car, screamed into her phone, "Get me a real inspector!" Sunday morning, Clara's treasurer campaign gained traction. She printed flyers declaring, "Clara for treasurer, end Evelyn's fraud," and slipped them into 30 mailboxes. Neighbors like the Nguyen's and Mrs. Carter pledged support, tired of Evelyn's $300 to $1,200 fines. Sarah arrived with her lawyer friend, Emily, a 40-year-old firebrand who'd battled HOAs before. Emily reviewed Evelyn's injunction and laughed. "This is legal fan fiction. No HOA exists. I'll file a countermotion tomorrow." Tom showed her Emily's evidence, $22,000 in shady transfers, fake LLC documents, and photos of Evelyn's midnight inspections. Emily's eyes lit up. This is theft and impersonation. She's done. Evelyn's desperation peaked. She spread rumors through Diane, whispering to loyalists like Susan Miller, a 50-year-old realtor, that Tom was mentally unstable and the fest was a cover for vandalism. Susan knocked on Tom's door, nervous. "Is this fest legal, Tom? Evelyn says you're tanking our property values." Tom showed her Emily's bank records. "She's stolen $22,000, Susan. Join us." Her face paled, her loyalty wavering. That night, someone, nobody admitted who, painted Evelyn's a fraud on her SUV, caught by Tom's cameras, but not Evelyn's looped feeds. Monday brought a showdown. Evelyn filed a second injunction, claiming the fest's noise pollution violated community standards. She parked outside Tom's house, her badge gleaming, and served him a $3,000 fine for inciting rebellion. "You're finished, Harrison," she hissed, her keys jangling. Tom, recording from his porch, smirked. "No HOA, no power, Evelyn." His cameras caught her trying 3 keys on his gate, each failing. Ryan's drone captured her cursing, unaware it was streaming to 3 million viewers. Local news aired a segment, "Sunnyvale's flagpole fight, fake HOA exposed?" Comments flooded in, "Jail her," and "Tom for mayor." The fighters planned a flag parade for Tuesday with mobile flagpoles on trailers. Mike rigged a float with speakers blaring "America the Beautiful." Lisa designed a 20-foot banner, and Clara baked 200 cookies. Ryan's TikTok hit 3.5 million views, with veterans groups donating flags. Emily prepared a court motion to dismiss Evelyn's injunctions and demand an audit of her LLC. But Evelyn had one last card. She called a community emergency meeting for Tuesday night, claiming vandalism and safety threats. Clara whispered to Tom, "She's planning something big. We need to be ready." In a packed Texas courtroom, Tom Harrison faced Evelyn Brooks, his flagpole stars and stripes a symbol of Sunnyvale's rebellion against her fake HOA empire. As the judge's gavel loomed, the flagpole fighter's evidence exposed a $22,000 scam, but Evelyn's final desperate move threatened to burn their victory to the ground. Tom Harrison stood outside the Travis County Courthouse at 8 a.m., his 62-year-old frame steady despite the weight of the moment. His 20-foot flagpole, a tribute to his Vietnam War hero father, had sparked a revolution in Sunnyvale Estates, an Austin suburb now dotted with 20 flagpoles, each glowing with solar lights and Freedom Fest signs. The flagpole fighters, Tom, Clara Thompson, Mike Delgado, Lisa Chin, and Ryan Patel had turned Evelyn Brooks's fake HOA into a national embarrassment, with Ryan's hashtag Flagpole fiasco TikTok hitting 3.5 million views. But Evelyn, the self-styled Sunnyvale Community Standards Director, had struck back with fake injunctions, $3,000 fines, and surveillance cameras. Now in court, the fight would reach its climax. Inside, the courtroom buzzed with neighbors, reporters, and veterans groups waving mini flags. Tom, in a pressed shirt, sat beside Clara, the 68-year-old retired school teacher whose evidence had uncovered Evelyn's $22,000 fraud. Sarah, Tom's 35-year-old paralegal daughter, and her lawyer friend Emily, a 40-year-old HOA-busting firebrand, prepped their case. Emily clutched Clara's bank records, fake LLC documents, and Tom's camera footage of Evelyn's failed gate key attempts. "Her injunctions are nonsense," Emily whispered. "We'll bury her." Across the aisle, Evelyn sat rigid, her navy blazer and fake badge gleaming, flanked by Greg, her wannabe lawyer, and Diane, her ex-realtor ally. Carl, her shady contractor, was conspicuously absent. The judge, a stern 60-year-old named Margaret Holt, called order. "This injunction claims the Sunnyvale Freedom Fest is a public disturbance," she said, eyeing Evelyn's papers. "Let's hear it." Greg stood, citing Texas Municipal Code 47.2 and imminent safety risks from flagpoles. Emily shot up. "Objection, Your Honor. That code doesn't exist and no HOA is registered in Sunnyvale." She presented county records proving no HOA existed, then dropped Clara's bombshell. $22,000 funneled to Evelyn's Sunnyvale Standards Inc. LLC with transfers to offshore accounts. The courtroom gasped. Judge Holt's eyes narrowed. "Miss Brooks, explain this LLC." She stammered, her badge glinting nervously. "It's a community fund for maintenance, Your Honor." Emily pounced, showing bank statements. "Then why did $15,000 go to a Cayman Islands account?" Neighbors murmured, Susan Miller, a former Evelyn loyalist, looking betrayed. Tom took the stand, his voice steady. "I built my flagpole for my father, a Vietnam hero. Evelyn fined me $600, then $3,000 for a fake HOA. She's extorted $22,000 from us." He played his camera footage, Evelyn trying keys on his gate, cursing. The room erupted in whispers. Judge Holt banged her gavel. "Enough! I'm dismissing this injunction and ordering an audit of this LLC. Ms. Brooks, you're treading on thin ice." Outside, the flagpole fighters celebrated. Ryan's live stream hit 4 million views with comments like "Evelyn's cooked" and "Justice for Flagville." Clara's treasurer campaign surged, with 40 neighbors pledging support. Mike planned to flag a Palooza block party to celebrate, wiring lights for 5 more flagpoles. Lisa designed a new banner, a flagpole crushing a fake badge captioned "Freedom Wins." But Evelyn wasn't done. Back at her condo, she paced, her whiteboard now a chaotic mess of threats and countermeasures. Diane, shaken by the court loss, whispered, "This is falling apart, Evelyn." Evelyn slapped the table. "We'll rig the treasurer election. Clara can't win." Evelyn's next move was venomous. She spread rumors through Susan, claiming Tom's flagpole was structurally unsound and a fire hazard, citing a forged city inspector's report. Susan, torn, knocked on Clara's door. "Is Tom's pole safe?" she asked. Clara showed her the $22,000 evidence. "Evelyn's lying to save herself, Susan. Join us." Susan nodded, defecting. That night, Evelyn's crew tried to sabotage Mike's flagpole, cutting its solar cables. Ryan's drone caught Carl fleeing, streaming to 4.5 million viewers. Local news aired the clip. Sunnyvale HOA scam, sabotage caught on camera. Comments flooded, "Lock her up," and "Flagpole fighters rule." Tuesday's flag parade was a triumph. 25 flagpoles rolled on trailers, neighbors waving Freedom Fest flags as Mike's speakers blared Star-Spangled Banner. Clara tossed cookies to kids, and Tom saluted his pole, tears in his eyes. Veterans groups joined, raising flags for fallen heroes. Ryan's TikTok hit 5 million views, with national outlets like CNN picking up the story. Texas neighborhood fights fake HOA with flags. Evelyn's emergency meeting that night was a disaster. Only 10 loyalists showed, Diane visibly nervous. Evelyn ranted about vandalism and safety threats, but Susan stood up. "You stole $22,000, Evelyn. We're done." Half the room walked out, joining Clara's campaign. Emily filed a countermotion, demanding Evelyn's LLC records and a criminal investigation. Sarah uncovered more. Evelyn had forged signatures on her HOA documents, including old Mrs. Carter's. "This is fraud and identity theft," Emily said, prepping a sheriff's report. Tom's cameras caught Evelyn sneaking into the Gwen's yard at 2 a.m., measuring their flagpole. Ryan's drone followed, streaming to 6 million viewers. Comments raged, "She's unhinged," and "End this scam." Evelyn, desperate, rigged the treasurer election with fake ballots naming Diane as a neutral candidate. Clara, tipped off by Susan, found the ballots in Evelyn's mailbox, stamped with the fake HOA seal. Wednesday, the fighters threw their Flagpalooza block party. 30 flagpoles glowed, neighbors danced, and veterans shared stories. Lisa's banner flew high, and Mike's sound system rocked "Born in the USA." Clara announced her treasurer platform: "No fines, no fraud, just freedom." Ryan's livestream hit 7 million views, with donations pouring in for veterans' charities. Evelyn, watching from her condo, smashed a glass. "They can't win," she hissed, calling Greg. "File a defamation suit against Harrison, now." But Greg, sweating, muttered, "I'm out, Evelyn. This is too hot." Diane fled too, leaving Evelyn alone. Thursday morning, Emily met with the sheriff, presenting Clara's evidence, Tom's footage, and Sarah's forged signatures. "We've got fraud, theft, and impersonation," Emily said. The sheriff nodded. "We're opening an investigation." Tom, Clara, and the fighters gathered at Tom's flagpole, its solar light glowing. "She's crumbling," Clara said, holding a "Clara for Treasurer" sign. But Ryan frowned, checking his phone. "Evelyn's planning something for the election tomorrow. My drone caught her meeting a guy in a suit at midnight." Tom's eyes hardened. "Let's finish this." As Sunnyvale Estates glowed with 30 flagpoles, their stars and stripes a beacon of defiance, Tom Harrison and his flagpole fighters faced Evelyn Brooks' final, desperate attempt to rig the treasurer election. But when the truth of her $22,000 scam unraveled, the neighborhood reclaimed its freedom, turning Sunnyvale into a legend called Flagville USA. Tom Harrison stood by his flagpole at dawn, its 20-foot steel frame gleaming under the Texas sun, the American flag waving for his Vietnam War hero father. The 62-year-old retired mechanic had turned Sunnyvale Estates and Austin suburb into a battlefield against Evelyn Brooks' fake HOA. Her $600 to $3,000 fines, forged injunctions, and surveillance cameras had crumbled in court, where Clara Thompson's evidence exposed $22,000 in fraud. The flagpole fighters, Tom, Clara, Mike Delgado, Lisa Chen, and Ryan Patel, had rallied 30 flagpoles in their Sunnyvale Freedom Fest, with Ryan's #FlagpoleFiasco TikTok hitting 7 million views. Now, on Election Day, Evelyn's last stand loomed, a rigged treasurer vote to save her empire. Clara, the 68-year-old retired schoolteacher, was the frontrunner for treasurer, her campaign flyers blanketing Sunnyvale: "Clara for treasurer, no fines, no fraud." But at 8 a.m., Susan Miller, the defected loyalist, rushed to Clara's porch, breathless. "Evelyn's stuffing ballots," she whispered, showing a photo of fake ballots stamped with the forged HOA seal found in Evelyn's mailbox. Clara's eyes blazed. "She's done." Tom called Sarah, his 35-year-old paralegal daughter, who was with Emily, the HOA-busting lawyer. "We've got proof of election fraud," Tom said, sending the photo. Emily replied, "I'm calling the sheriff. Guard those ballots." The fighters gathered at Mike's garage, the air electric. Mike, the 45-year-old electrician, had wired lights for 30 flagpoles, their glow a symbol of resistance. "She's rigging the vote to install Diane," he growled, clutching a wrench. Lisa, the 30-year-old graphic designer, unveiled a new Freedom Fest banner, a flagpole piercing a fake badge, captioned "Victory for Sunnyvale." Ryan, the 22-year-old college student, checked his drone footage, catching Evelyn handing ballots to a man in a suit at midnight. "This guy's a hired fixer," Ryan said, streaming to 8 million viewers. Comments exploded, "Bust her," and "Flagville's unstoppable." At noon, the treasurer election began at the community center, neighbors streaming in. Clara stood at a makeshift podium, her megaphone booming, "Vote for freedom, not fraud." Evelyn, her badge askew, handed out ballots, her smile strained. But Susan, now a fighter, slipped Clara a stack of Evelyn's fake ballots, marked for Diane. Tom and Mike guarded the ballot box, their eyes locked on Evelyn. Ryan's drone buzzed overhead, streaming to 9 million viewers. When Evelyn tried to slip extra ballots into the box, Lisa shouted, "She's cheating!" The crowd turned, murmuring. Clara held up the forged ballots. "These are fake, just like her HOA." Neighbors booed, veterans waving flags in protest. The sheriff arrived at 1 p.m., summoned by Emily. He examined the fake ballots, his face grim. "Miss Brooks, you're under investigation for election fraud," he said, confiscating the box. Evelyn's face paled, her keys jangling as she backed away. "This is a misunderstanding," she stammered, but the sheriff wasn't buying it. Emily presented Clara's $22,000 fraud evidence, Sarah's forged signatures, and Tom's footage of Evelyn's gate key attempts. "Add theft, impersonation, and vandalism," Emily said. The sheriff handcuffed Evelyn, reading her rights as neighbors cheered. Ryan's live stream hit 10 million views, with comments like "Justice served" and "Flagville wins." Evelyn's empire collapsed. The audit of her LLC revealed $25,000 in stolen funds, with $10,000 siphoned to offshore accounts. Diane confessed to forging signatures, and Carl turned state's evidence, exposing Evelyn's sabotage plans. The sheriff arrested Evelyn for fraud, theft, and election tampering, her badge confiscated as evidence. Clara won the treasurer election unanimously, with 60 neighbors voting. She drafted new bylaws: no fines, no fake HOAs, and flagpoles as protected community tributes. Sunnyvale's first real HOA was born, with Clara at the helm. The fighters threw a victory flagpalooza that night, 35 flagpoles glowing under string lights. Mike's speakers blared, "Proud to be an American." Lisa's banners waved, and Clara tossed 300 cookies to kids. Tom unveiled a plaque on his flagpole, the flag that freed Sunnyvale, dedicated to Sergeant James Harrison. Veterans saluted, neighbors danced, and Ryan's live stream hit 12 million views, with donations flooding veterans' charities. National news called Sunnyvale Flagville USA, a tourist spot for patriots. Sarah, visiting from Dallas, hugged Tom. "Dad, you did it!" He smiled, saluting his flag. "We all did." Evelyn, out on bail, fled Austin, her condo foreclosed. Rumors spread she was hiding in Florida, starting a new scam. The fighters rebuilt Sunnyvale, hosting annual freedom fests with flagpoles, fireworks, and veteran tributes. Clara's HOA lowered property fees, funded a park, and banned surveillance cameras. Mike wired a community flagpole, Lisa designed its plaque, and Ryan's TikToks made Flagville a national symbol of resistance. Tom, standing by his flagpole at dusk, whispered, "For you, Dad." The stars and stripes waved, free at last.